Hello and welcome back to another episode of It's a Man's World podcast. Today we are in Podster Studio and I've got a very, very exciting guest. I actually met you at the coach convention when you were doing your talk that time, which is crazy. What, 2 years ago?
That's
or
crazy,
a year ago?
yeah.
Was it 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago now.
Which is mental. And ever since I've been kind of following your journey, and even from coming out here, I think like even just bumping into you in person, there's a lot of stigma that goes on around bodybuilders and people's perspective of them. And when I met you, and even from what you're like on social media, you're the most bubbliest, friendliest person I have ever come across. And I have so many questions today that I'm just like, even before we started, like that I want to know, that I'm like, oh my God. And you're like a female boss, you're running your own businesses. I'm really excited to kind of delve in and just let people know and give them a little bit of an insight into who you are and how you're out here and what businesses you run, if you want to just introduce yourself, because I don't think I can even give an introduction into how much of an amazing person you are.
Oh, I think that's one of the best introductions I've had. Thank you so much. That really means the world. And thank you, obviously, for having me on the podcast as well and for that incredible introduction. But yeah, we're in Dubai, baby. We're back in Podster, which is super exciting. I absolutely love it here. The culture, the people, the gyms, the environment. I think there's a huge stigma around Dubai and what Dubai is like, especially for people that are in the UK that have never traveled to here before. And I was one of those people as well. I was like, oh, Dubai. Yes. But it's actually incredible, especially being a business owner working with people in the UK because of the time difference. Yes. It literally feels like you're going back in time.
4 hours really save your whole life, don't they?
It's incredible because you get up and you're like, oh, it's 1 a.m. in the UK. I can get all my check-ins done by 5 a.m. in the UK. It's like amazing. UK time. It's absolutely incredible. So really loving it here, and even just the way of life and like safety as well is something that's really important to me, because as you say, we're females in the fitness industry. We're constantly out on walks. We're constantly in the gym. We want to feel comfortable doing the things that we love every single day. And being here, I can go out a walk at 6 a.m. in the morning with my Kindle and be able to just enjoy my walk and feel present and not be worried about my surroundings, worried about the people that could be walking past me. And it's so true. You feel like that in the UK.
Yeah.
You're terrified to go out after 8 o'clock at night because you don't know what kind of people is going to be out. And it is so true. So I feel really safe here, which is good. But a little bit about me. I have been a coach now for 7 years. I think I started in 2015. Started in 2015 and was an online coach. No, was a personal trainer for 3 years, and then transitioned into online coaching around COVID. So that's how my online business actually started, was because of COVID. So at that point, we had no option.
Yeah, everyone went online, didn't they? Even if you didn't want to.
Yeah, exactly. So I was doing what you was doing on your Instagram story the other day. I was on Instagram live doing my burpees.
Did you do?
I did it every day. Every single day. Your body would
be in bits, but it was so worth it, wasn't it?
100%, because at that point, all that was going on in my head was sink or swim. I either use this time to sleep, I use this time to get money from the government and just do nothing, or I build an online business. And I was at that point anyway where my social media presence was growing, and I was at that like blocker. I either stop personal training and go all in on that, and COVID was really a blessing in disguise for me that just allowed me to grow my online business. And now we've just recently launched Minevo, which is the male coaching team. So I've got 6 people working on my team now, which is incredible.
Wow, that's unreal. I was actually going to ask you that. I thought it was just when you were at Coach Convention, was it just females?
Yes.
And how did you just get into, obviously that's a totally different area, like how did that all come about?
It's crazy because at the coaching convention, I was a shell of the person that I am today.
Wow.
I was so scared to get up on that stage and talk in front of everybody that was there.
And you've done it so well.
It was a huge fear. I think I was crying for about a week straight.
I thought I seen you sitting outside. And I was like, I wonder, is that the girl like that's speaking? And I was like, I seen you outside sitting by yourself on the ground, and I was like, I didn't know. And you had your earphones in, so you were obviously were you worried? Because you wouldn't have known, but you were obviously over it. Were you thinking about what's going to happen?
Yeah, it was something that I've always wanted to do. Like I take inspiration from. It's why I started a podcast as well, because I love watching podcasts. I love learning from other people, but putting yourself in that spotlight, it's scary doing it for the first time. I was terrified. And then one thing that I always do before I step on stage is, because it's the same nerves and excitement are the exact same. And I bodybuild because I love training. I love going to the gym. I love working hard, but stepping on stage, I was terrified to do that. So basically what I do is I click my fingers and my alter ego comes out. I call it Beyonce. So when I click my fingers, Beyonce comes out. So when I'm on stage, I'm there to put on a show. So I basically went through that same process before the coach convention as well. So I clicked my fingers and I was like, Beyonce's coming out. And now I could step on stage tomorrow and I would be totally fine. But Femevo started because I wanted to create a company. I wanted to create a brand. And my business was called Coach by Erin before, and it was just like a little logo with me on it. And I was like, how can I create a team and create a group of people that'll want to and feel proud to be under that brand? Because Coach by Erin wasn't really a brand. It was just myself, Erin, the online coach. But Femevo stands for Female Evolution, and our taglines take up space. So when we changed to that, it just allowed me to be in a position where I could have other females working under me. I could mentor other females to coach other girls as well, and the team just evolved ever since that. And people really resonate with the tagline. They share it on their stories, and they feel proud to be part of the brand itself. And same with the logo. We've like set up the logo so it was something that could be put on clothing eventually, that could be established in other ways. And then this is when Menevo came about, because it was like a missing piece to the puzzle. Because although I don't coach men, I've got men on the team that obviously do the male side, along with one of my other coaches, Danny, who gets quite a lot of male coaching inquiries already based on like where she actually is in the world. So that's how that came about there.
Wow, I love that. I love that there's a female that trains men as well, because that's obviously such a big thing too, you know?
Yeah.
And I think from what you've said there, like, it can't just be a one-man band. If you want to expand, if you want to have this big vision, you can't do anything yourself. It's teamwork at the end of the day. And anyone that is listening right now that is working by themselves, maybe an online coach, or even if you're a personal trainer and you're thinking about going online and your business starts to build rapidly and you're getting results and you're making changes, you do need to always think of the long term, and you need to think of, is this going to be sustainable? How can I impact more people? How many people can you take on yourself? There is only so much. And I think coaches are so scared to expand and take on. And I think as well, it's very hard when you don't know how to interview someone. I've made many mistakes with interviewing people and being very gullible, being like, they're a great person. Like, let's look at all the positives. And then it turned out to be a shit show. But you learn along the way, and you have to take people in and work with you, don't you? Did you have mistakes like that along the way?
100%. 100%, because it is about learning. And that's the thing. Being a business owner, it's about being grateful for the mistakes and understanding that failure is going to be inevitable throughout this journey, but it's about taking lessons from those little mistakes. So when I first had my very first coach, it was a mistake in regards to how the company flowed, because she was a holistic coach, so she was practicing like, you don't need to track your macros. You don't need to do your steps every single day. It's okay to not go to the gym. But I would classify myself as quite a hardcore bodybuilder.
Yeah, that's the non-negotiable. So it nearly goes against your brand or what you're...
Exactly. So for the customer, they were coming onto the Instagram page and she was posting about how it's okay to not go to the gym, and then I would be posting the next day being like, you've got to show up, you've got to turn up to the gym, you've got to make sure that you're staying hydrated, you've got to make sure that you're getting your full 8 hours of sleep in. And it was just contradicting each other. So that was when I had to make my first hard decision within the company and just part ways. But luckily it was at the time where Coached by Erin was transitioning into female evolution, and because Femevo, what Femevo stands for, what it represents, it just didn't align, because it was two completely different coaching styles. And yes, that is fine, and I know that some companies do work really well. Like some companies have got prep coaches, some have got lifestyle, and with the brand and ethos that we had, it just didn't work.
Yeah, you've got to stay true to who you are and what you're putting out there, because that's when audiences get very confused and they're like, well, I thought you do this, but you also do this. Well, that's kind of confusing me. And it's like, no. So even with myself now, with my own goals, I'm obviously getting on stage for the first time, but I won't ever prep people to do that. And that's because it's not a passion that I want to do, and my passion is lifestyle, and we do photo shoot preps, and it's more for the fun and the challenge. And yes, transformation is a big thing, and obviously habits and someone's diet and stuff, that's a big thing for us, but it's not something that's not an area I want to go down. So I have told my ladies, as much as you might be, they'd be very inspired as to what I do, and they do like to follow suit, and that's amazing. I love inspiring people, but I do want people to know, and this is kind of something that I want to touch on today, as to your why with stage prep. And I think there's so many people out there at the minute that think, I'm just going to get on stage because it looks pretty in that bikini and it's my comeback after my breakup. And it's like, no, girl, there's a lot more that goes on behind this. This is stepping into uncharted waters that you're like, wait, I've never felt like this before. I've never been this tired. What is going on with my body? That it's I don't think it's for the Gen Pop people that they just don't understand it. And it's so hard because people think you're nearly doubting them, but you're not. You're like, oh, of course you want someone to do well, but I think you have to have a very deep reason as to why you're stepping on stage. And it's not about on the day. That's the perfect package that comes and you're proud of yourself, but it's the build up. This is the journey that I love. I'm loving my routine. I'm loving the discipline. I'm learning so much about myself. I'm so dialed in with business with this prep that it's this is I can't even explain it. It's tunnel vision, but nothing else matters around you. Yeah. So I'm sure that's probably how you feel. Obviously not a lot of the time, but for anyone that doesn't know, obviously you are a pro, bodybuilder. How did this all come about, and where did it come about? Especially, I didn't know that you done lives and you were jumping around and doing burpees and all. I can't imagine that. I know. But where did it all stem from, and how has it been such a big passion of yours right now? Because I think people would love to hear that as well.
So I'm a very competitive person. So growing up, I was a dancer, I was a swimmer, and I'm super grateful for the way that my mum and dad brought me up, because I was in the pool swimming at 7 a.m. before going to school. Then after school, I was at dance practice, and then I was back in the pool until 9 o'clock every single day. So I already had that regiment growing up, which during my teens, I did have a period where I felt really lost. I was one of those people that was going out drinking at the weekends. I didn't have any sort of purpose.
Yeah.
And I felt really lost within myself, which is why I started my personal training course. But while I was doing that, I met a girl called Sophie Brewster. Do you know who she is?
No.
She's a wellness pro.
Okay.
But she competed in WBFF.
Right.
So I went into my first prep completely in the unknown. It wasn't big on social media there. And it was then that I was like, I just didn't know what to expect during that time. And that's when I realized that my why was just becoming my best. And I think social media is so glamorized nowadays. Everybody's posting the highlights of the reel. Everybody's posting their best photos. Everybody's putting on workouts that aren't even what they're actually doing to achieve their results. And to someone that is inspired by that, they're looking at that being like, I can do that. I can step on stage and do that, but it takes up your whole life. Yeah. And for me, my first contest prep completely changed my life for the better. It helped with taking discipline to a place that I didn't even think was possible. But it does help massively with other areas of your life, especially with business as well. It is definitely like the traits and the habits that you gain during a contest prep help massively with every other aspect of your life, in my opinion. It is hard when it comes to relationships and when it comes to family and people that are not in the fitness industry. Like during my first contest prep, my friend group more than halved. Yeah. Because they didn't understand the process and they were just friends. What I know now, we wasn't friends for the right reason. Do you know what I mean? Like I am someone that keeps my friend group very small, and as we was talking about before the podcast, privacy is a privilege.
Big time.
It is so important to have like a small network of people that understand you and support you, because your circle is literally everything. But my why is just because I literally love the feeling of bettering myself. I love the feeling of showing up and knowing that I'm just becoming 1% better every single day. I'm learning more about myself every day, and I'm educating myself on being the best, and which then that naturally translates into me being a better coach and me being just a better person as a whole.
I love that. And I think when you say a better person as a whole, 1% better, it's like you're discovering yourself day by day. It's like self-discovery, because if you didn't go for it because of other people's opinions and judgments, which I'm sure you probably got a lot of at the start.
Oh, yes.
Like, do you get much hate or anything like that? Do people ever say anything? Or are they jealous? Like, have you got that at the start?
Oh, yeah, especially from family. So it was more.
That's what I was going to say. Like, when I told my mum I was doing it, I was a dancer as well, but when I said I was getting, she was like, no, I can't believe you're doing this to yourself. My brother actually said to me, he was like, you're going to ruin your business. And I'm like, what? And like, you get told all these things and you're like, no one understands. Like, you don't actually need anyone around you to understand, and you just need to let someone. Sometimes people's opinions can play such a big part as to why you don't go for something. And that was like what I used to be like years ago. Like, I used to be kind of like you as well. I'd have dancing, like academics wasn't really on the high list. I was more sporty, and dancing was my big thing, and I would work a part-time job to get the dress and the costume because mum couldn't afford it, and it was kind of like that. But I think saying no to people as to like, I'm not going out tonight, and they're like, wait, what? I started saying no slowly, but I would make excuses up. I couldn't just say no, like I'm not going no because I don't want it. It was like, I'm not going because like I have this to do. But I would make up all these excuses just because I couldn't physically say no. I don't want to do that. That's not what. And even when I used to go out, I'm sure you felt the same. You go through a phase where you're there, but you're not really, and you're kind of thinking in your head, when you're working on something and something's becoming so creative and you're starting to see the benefits come from it, when you steer away from that and you steer off course, it's like when we're out of routine, you feel like that's not where you should be, and you have a feeling inside your stomach that you're like, I should be back there doing that, and because you want to be there. It's like you don't want to be there, but you're being there to keep other people happy. But it's like putting a boundary down is a real big thing. And I think obviously what you're saying there, like what was your family like when you said like, this is what I'm doing?
Boundaries, I just want to say boundaries are so important. And I used to be someone as well that could not say no. So going to parties or going to see people that I didn't want to see. But when you're growing a business and when your life is so hyper focused on one thing, and for me that's bodybuilding and becoming my best, my time is so limited.
Selective
and
as well.
your time is all your time is all you've got, and you need to make sure that you're adding as much value to your time as you possibly can. But my mum, I'm sure your mum was the exact same. It was the heels.
She fucking laughed. She was like, this is pornography.
It was the heels and the tan. She was like, you don't have to get.
She was like, what is this?
She was like, you don't have to get a tan like that and wear those stripper heels.
It was the tan.
And yeah, so it's because she cares though. Like when I first started, I was quite defensive, being like, no, this is what I want to do. Please just try and like respect my decision, etc. But looking back, it's just because she cares. It's because she isn't from this world. She doesn't understand it, and from an outside looking in, maybe it is a little bit strange that we do this, because bodybuilding isn't as large as what football or basketball or tennis is. It's completely different. We are a very small community, but I think because we are so small is what actually makes it so special. Because we are the minority of people. And it was after my very first show that my mum then started to understand the process and realise that it wasn't just heels and an orange tan and a little tiny bikini. It was much more than that, because the stage is literally 0.01% in comparison to what the whole process actually is.
Yeah, the journey is so special, and that's where you learn everything about yourself. It's not actually about the day. That's the bonus.
Yeah.
But it is about, like, it's not about anyone else understanding. But I think if you can say to someone, even if this isn't to do with bodybuilding or getting on stage, no matter what you're doing in life, if you're stepping away from a job or a career that you're doing and you think your family may not be happy with the decision that you're making, you need to sit them down and just be like, I know that and I think when you promise yourself, I'm going to do this, you have to do it, because you're like, I've promised myself and my family that I'm making this happen. And if it doesn't happen, you try something else, but you just never give up. And that's something that I think a lot of people want instant gratification from. They want the result there and then. Yeah. Like, why is my body not changing? Why can't they see this? Or like, why is my business making money? Like, trust me, the business does not make money for a long time. Yeah. You know, you don't reap the rewards until the hard work has been earned. Yeah. And people don't want to put the hard work in. They're like, oh, 3-4 years, that's years, I'm not waiting that. Yeah. Okay, well then don't be part of the 1% to 10% people in the world. And I think when you've got this drive and you want so much from life, you're like, I'm not settling for less. And my main reason for stage is I don't want to have a regret. Yeah. I always knew I had potential. I've always gone through different phases, and I felt like, you know what, photo shoots are boring now for me. I've done them all. Do you know what I mean? I'm bored doing it. I'm like, what can I do next? What's something that I can take myself to the next level? And I was like, I may do like maybe a little bit of hybrid down the line, gymnastics, go back to that. That's something that I want to do. But I didn't want to have a regret of saying, I wish I'd done that. Because I used to see them and I used to say, I would love to do that. But then again, I wouldn't. And then I started kind of going back and forward, like I wouldn't. But the reason you don't want to do it is because you know it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. Yes. And people don't want to give up the short-term sacrifice for the long-term result. And for me, I'm like, it's not sacrifice right now. I'm loving it. As yes, I have days where I'm tired and I'm hungry. Yeah, of course that happens. But like, nothing worth having comes easy. And I say every day, every meal, every hour, it's like, how can I give it, you know what, if that few minutes ago didn't go too well, how can I flip my mindset? And I think your mind becomes so strong on this that you're like, wow, like I'm changing, I'm becoming a person that can say absolutely no way, that's not happening, or I'm not doing that today. on my time, like you, is so selective. Like I don't do that much in Dubai for a place that it is. But I'm happy out with my routine. Like I love it. I have a ball of my apartment by myself. I do. I have the music and all on, having a dance before I get to the gym, have me pray, have my outfit sorted. Like that's the highlight of my day. And it's like, you don't need to like look at someone else's life and be like, their idea of fun is going out now at the weekend on Paddy's Day and getting pissed. Because that's my idea of hell.
Yeah, same here.
I couldn't wake up on it. Like, we're fresh on a Sunday morning, and for me, like, we're so productive. We're going into a new week, energized. We know what we're doing. It's nearly reassurance of our goals and where we are right now. That's like, if we've come this far from someone who was so scared to step on stage at Coach Convention even 2 years ago to 7 years ago, live workouts, to now in Dubai here, having like-minded conversations, I always think, like, the sky, like, is the limit. Like, there is nothing that you can't do.
And going with that as well, like, I think it is super important to reflect back, because is like people that are in the fitness industry, the sky is literally the limit, and we do have big goals and we do want to achieve incredible things, but enjoying the passage of time is extremely important, and reflecting back on where you was a couple of years ago, because Erin a couple of years ago would literally dream to be in the position and to be sitting in this seat right now, because this is something that she would have feared to do a couple of years ago. But just, although we've got so big goals, enjoy all the little hard moments, enjoy the passage of time, enjoy the struggle that you get from feeling hungry or feeling tired on a day-to-day basis, because just like the position that you're in at this moment, you're going to be counting down in the lead up to stage. You're going to be like, okay, I'm 8 weeks out, 7 weeks out, 6 weeks out. But then once show day is done, you'll look back and you'll be like, I really just wish I enjoyed those hard moments, because those are the moments that build character. Those are the moments that you do become mentally resilient and realize that you can literally do anything. But because of social media and instant gratification, people just want that quick fix. But you need to be content and be happy with where you're truly at, and then you'll feel so much more content. You'll feel so proud once you actually do reach that milestone that you want to get to.
Yeah, definitely. It's enjoying that journey. And as well, after prep, how hard is it for females, do you see? Like, after prep, I think, like, even when I notice with ladies after photo shoots, it's like, oh, I'm so demotivated. It's like, how can something flip because you don't have there's always what's next.
Yes,
there's
exactly.
always something exciting. Like, I already know what I'm doing next.
Yes.
Like, I'm planning out where I'm going next. I don't want to have a feeling of deflation and be like, oh my God, I feel shit. Like, what am I going to do? It's like, if I can control 20 weeks of hard work, what changes on the Monday after?
Yeah.
Why would your routine go down like that? And when your business and everything is flourishing and you're showing up every day as a better person, why would you degrade yourself 10% lower? For what? Because you're not getting on the stage?
Yeah.
I think that's quite where the strong mind goes to weak very fast.
Yeah.
But what do you notice from ladies? Like, do you have some sort of protocol that you go with? Or how do you feel like obviously females deal with things a lot not harder than men, but we have got a lot of, obviously, hormones too, and their cycle and everything, and body image. We do look at ourselves. I know males get that as well, but is there anything in particular that you see with females after prep?
So basically, what I do with my girls, because it is hard when you're reaching that milestone or that milestone's getting close, I term it as peak of the mountains. So basically, a contest prep, you're slowly climbing to the peak of that mountain. But what females don't realise is that there's going to be other peaks, and there's going to be other mountains after show day. So what we do in the lead up to show day is we plan that next peak. So not necessarily like the peak of stepping on stage again, because there's so much peaks in your life that you've got to take into consideration. Like, coming off the back of a contest prep, yes, you can plan when you're next going to step on stage again, but there's other things that have maybe taken a little bit of a backseat, like your partner. Like, planning to spend quality time with your partner, and maybe doing things that aren't necessarily bodybuilding related during that time, prioritizing your health, because that is extremely important as well. But setting business goals, setting fitness goals that like are cardiovascular, for example, like doing things that you can achieve without having to put all of your identity just on stage. Because that's when you'll see people's have a very females have a very short time in the fitness industry, because they're constantly going into prep after prep after prep, and there's only so long that you can do that before you completely burn out. Like, I am someone that I've been competing now for 6 years, and this is only the very first time that I've competed 2 years back to back, because I'll always take a year off in between, and I'll only ever do maybe 2 to 3 shows max in one season, because being in stage condition is obviously, for like a prolonged period of time, is detrimental, and health is something that I take so seriously. So I know that going into post show, I have got my goals already in place. I know that I've got maybe a photo shoot a couple of weeks after that. I know that I'm going to be doing things from a business perspective. I know that my time and focus is going to go into family, going to training as well. So it's changing from, because as you know, when you're in a dieting phase, and especially when you're getting closer to your goal, you're like, oh, I've got a little vein here. You're like, oh, my arms are looking leaner today. So you're hyper fixated on your visuals, and it becomes a habit. So every time you walk past a mirror, you're flexing, you're checking your abs, you're practicing your posing every single day. So you're looking at yourself and analyzing yourself quite a lot on a day-to-day basis, that when you're in that position that you're post-show, it's just going to be about, okay, that chapter's closed for just now. Now I need to focus on the inside. I need to focus on my hormone health, because females will essentially lose their menstrual cycle at the back end of a contest prep, because their body isn't healthy enough to conceive. So that is one of the first things that will naturally stop when you're at the back of a contest prep. So health is priority. Your thyroid is obviously going to be taking a beating when you're in a contest prep as well. And that is something that I do explain to my girls as well. Because if you finish your show, the social media thing to do is to go out and just eat everything in sight, because everybody on social media has got the cookies, they've got the donuts, they're taking the photo post show, but because of where your body's at from a hormone perspective, as soon as you even get a taste of those foods, your leptin and ghrelin levels are so gone by that point. Your body doesn't know when it's full, and you're essentially doing a controlled starvation phase at this moment in time. So if you tell yourself, oh, I'm just going to give myself permission to just eat whatever I want, that's when you'll end up gaining a rapid amount of weight in a short period of time. And that's also going to have a negative impact on your thyroid, because especially if you're natural as well, your thyroid automatically starts to slow down the deeper you get into a dieting phase. So if you turn into a hippopotamus and just think, oh well, I'm going to eat everything, go to one of the Dubai brunches, for example, and just go crazy.
I've seen them. I am not going there getting out of Dubai.
I tell my girls just to give themselves 4 weeks. I'm like, I want you to have the mindset that you're still in prep for 4 weeks after that competition's done, where you'll get a couple of untracked meals, you'll get a full day off plan for you just to spend time with your partner, your family, to have a little bit of downtime, to then be like, okay, I now need to focus on my recovery diet. I need to focus on getting myself up to maintenance, getting rid of food focus and making sure that I'm satiated after my meals, and then hold there until your weight starts to stabilize, because your body does naturally have what's called like a homeostatic set point. So your body has got a place it feels comfortable to sit at. So it's about getting up to maintenance and then holding there, and then that's when you can start maybe going out for dinners more. You can start socializing a little bit more. But it is, so a lot of people think that once competition is over, or once a photo shoot prep's over, that they can just relax, they can stop their cardio, they can just go back to what they was like. But if you keep that habits in place, that's when you're going to really excel and not gain a rapid amount of body fat in a short period of time as well.
Yeah, and I think too, I'm sure you probably notice that people that finish preps finish up. Say, for example, they'll finish up in maybe a month or two after because there's no next goal. And it's like, you need someone there for accountability. That's so important. Like, you need someone to guide you along the way. Why would you just give up straight away, you know? And I think too, like, there's a lot of stigma around, like, say, for example, I see this a lot. And I don't know how I feel about it. I just think it's, maybe some people do feel like it, but I do think it's a little bit hypocritical, because let's be real. When you feel lean and you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel great, you do feel unreal.
Yeah, 100%. You do. You feel amazing.
Why would you lie? You know, so you feel the best. Like, you're like, what the hell? Unreal in a bikini. You feel tight. You feel great. I think some people put up pictures in that bikini, or say, for example, of practicing, and they're like, I was at my unhappiest at this point. No, you were at your unhappiest then because you were probably hungry or tired, and you're putting maybe even emotional stress outside of your life in that moment. And I think, like, saying that you were so unhappy there, but you got on stage and you won and it was the best moment, it's too hypocritical. I think there's too much that goes on. Like, I was at my leanest and I was at my unhappiest. Of course that is like that for some people, even not including stage, fair enough. Maybe people that have disorders or anorexia, anything like that, understandable when there's a mental side of it as well. But I think when people start putting it on it and it's like, I was at my unhappiest there, and you're like, but you've a picture up and you said you look at my body changing. How is it not exciting seeing your body change?
It's super exciting.
It's the best.
I know, it's like waking up every single morning and you're like, what is happening here? I love being lean, and I love being in prep and seeing those changes. And I'm a confident person anyway, but like when I'm in a contest prep and when I'm so dialed in and when I'm so focused, the sky's the limit, and you do feel amazing. Because when you work, it doesn't even matter if it's just your body composition. If you work hard in your business, if you're starting to see everything come together, or of something that you've spent months and months trying to achieve, you feel amazing. Yeah. So you're again, that's just the thing with social media. Like, it's
shame in bodybuilding in a way.
It is. There's a lot of people that do, especially if they decide to stop bodybuilding, they'll flip it round, and then all of this hate.
And it's like, you can't put yourself through that and all. It's like, there is safe ways that people are doing it. Of course, you're pushing yourself to the next level, but remember everything else that's coming along the way. You chose this. Yeah. What did you expect is what the therapist says to me. What did you expect? Yeah. The person that you're with, what did you expect? What did you expect them to be like? What did you expect this prep to be like? And then you put it into perspective and you go, what did I expect it to be? Did I expect this to be easy? Did I expect this to not be a challenge? Did I expect not to be hungry, but to see my body change? It doesn't work like that. There is no magic pill. It's hard work, and it's consistency, and it's not giving up. And I think to put a label on it when you won, when you felt so good, when your body and everything transformed, in comparison to putting yourself down when you're overweight and you blame the bodybuilding on why you've put all this weight back on. Your business isn't moving. There's so many outside factors that come into it that people are blaming one thing, but it's like there's definitely other things going on. Because when you're sluggish, you're feeling overweight, you've put weight on, you don't feel good, your business more than likely is going on slow. Yeah. Your body and your mind keep up at the same time. If your business is flowing and flourishing, you are too. And that's how it works. It's like your business is stagnant when you're stagnant. If you have emotional stress, your business has it too. Think about how you show up for your team if you're emotionally stressed. you're going through a breakup, that reflects on your team. You show up to your team as this person that's full of energy. Let's motivate the team. Let's inspire them. Let's get things going. They follow that. Everyone follows suit. And it's like, if you're a leader, I think that's so important as someone who's running a business and running a team. You've got to be strong.
Yeah.
But like, you know.
Yeah. And you also choose your hard as well.
Yes.
So I know that everybody says that contest prep is really hard, but I always tell myself that it's going to be harder. Yeah. Like every single day, this is easy. It's going to be hard.
I think
I think a lot of people, you have to be in the right place mentally before going into a contest prep or going into a diet. You need to make sure that you can look at things from a positive perspective, because although we may be in a deficit and although we are maybe feeling like tired, this is a luxury at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And prep is a luxury. Dieting itself is a luxury that we've actually got the ability to choose to do. So it could be worse. If you're struggling with contest prep, don't do it. Just don't do it. You've got the choice to do it or not, but you choose your hard. For me, I like the pain and suffering that comes along with it. Yeah. I enjoy it because I'm like, yes, I am moving forward. Yeah. This is pushing me to a new level here. Yeah. This is taking me to another place mentally that I haven't been before. If I can get through this, I can get through anything. Yeah. And then I wake up the next day and I'm like Beyonce. Yeah. And then the following day it's like, oh, she's here again. It is time to work. It is time to get through those mental blocks. But I always like flip it to a positive. You've got the choice is to, if you think something in a positive or negative way, especially when it comes to food, when it comes to training. Like you could go into the gym and be like, oh, I'm so tired today. I'm going to have a shit session. You will have a shit session if you go in with the mindset like that. Yeah. But if you are feeling tired and you put on music, dance before you get to go to the gym, you hype yourself up, you listen to a podcast or listen to music that just lights your soul on fire, you're changing that mindset and you're being like, I am going to go into the gym and I am literally going to have the best mindset, the best training session.
Yeah, and your mindset literally is everything. Your brain controls everything. Like I think when you're so busy too, you don't think about food, but when you're sitting around, you have a little bit more time, you're scrolling and you're looking at food, you realize, and you're like, oh my God. And it's like, I promised myself on this prep, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I was like, I'm doing it right. And I also said, I was like, I'm not going to complain. Yeah. And of course I have days where it just comes out. But say for example, bam, like even today when I woke up, right, I was like, oh my God, I was like, how do I look like? I was so tired today. And last night I napped after legs yesterday. And I literally woke up and Josh was like, here, you're not going to sleep again. And I was like, I will. Like, and I went to bed at 11 o'clock and I was gone. But I got up this morning, I was like, how do I look this tired? Oh my God. And I was like, no. I was like, so I went down to the gym, got my cardio done, energized, done myself up, and you feel so much better. Don't even think about food when you're here. And you know, as we said, what did you expect? What did you expect when you signed up to this? And choose your heart, I think, is a big thing. And I'm sure you probably see when you've even got people in dieting phases who's going to be able to do it and who won't from the get-go.
100%.
I always know the people that will do well. They're always like, what? Like when I say to girls, I'm like, I always know the people that will do well, and I know you're going to do really well. And they're like, how'd you know? I'm like, I just know. You know from the energy, you know from the check-ins, the feedback. When you don't get much, you know you're not getting much back. Yeah. Don't you? Like you can't go off a few words. Like you kind of have to have a little bit more. And you know when someone's all in, they want it. Yeah. And I think it's like even with competitions with even Irish dancing, you know the world champs, they're in the zone on the day. They're in the zone. They're at every single competition. They're showing up regardless. And you know they want it so bad. Whereas the people that have a little bit more attitude and they feel like they're a little bit better and ego gets in the way, that's not how a true champion works, in my opinion.
100%. You know, you've got to want it from within, and it's about understanding that not everybody is going to be like that, and understanding that there is other things that you can do. Just don't feel the pressure to go into something just because of social media. And by the way, guys, I do apologize for the amount I've said about social media. Social media is an awesome place, because if it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't have been able to connect.
Yeah.
I love social media for the connection side, but it's just it's so much taboo and everything around bodybuilding.
So many opinions.
So many opinions, yeah.
And if you do like someone, you'll cling on to that opinion because you want that to be true.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I agree with that because that's how I feel. Where it's like, no, you're actually acting quite weak at the minute and you're just going with that because it's a little bit easier to accept.
Exactly,
It's like, why aren't you think about this person that's over here. It's two people. You go with the opinion that you like, yeah, no, she's right, that's right. And it's like, you get so strong in that opinion. But then you look at the other person, you're like, no, they're wrong, they're too hardcore. But then you look at everything else around their life. Who do they show up as a person? Who does this person show up as? What type of business is this person running and how successful? Like, there's two different plates, and normally, majority of the time, it's like David Goggins, like he is like literally, he practices everything that we're saying right now.
Exactly.
He's like discipline. He's like, he called you out. He's like, it's lazy. It's, you're not looking after your body. You don't respect yourself, and whatever way you want to kind of put it. But like, he is literally the whole, like, he is disciplined. He says it as it is. And if you haven't got discipline, it's very hard to do anything in your life. Well, I think successfessily.
100%. I love how you mentioned David Goggins.
Yeah, I do listen to him. I am one of those. Like, I stick on those motivational. Yeah. I love him. Do you like Joe Dispenza?
Yeah.
Like, I listen to all of these, and I think people think, airy fairy, you're crazy listening to podcasts. And it's like, guys, like, you don't understand. Like, your environment is everything. What you're listening to, what you tell yourself, the books you read. Yeah. Like, think about it. I'm sure you read and listen to Kindles and stuff like that are inspiring and that make you think.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The people that dream big, and the people, you've got to be crazy. Your dreams have got to be a little bit crazy. That if you told your grandmother or your mum, they would be like, what on earth is she taking?
She's mad.
She is going bonkers.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be, because if you keep yourself inside a box, and if you keep yourself inside a place where you're just comfortable, you're just going to work every single day, you're coming home, then you're just living for the weekend, you're not going anywhere. The world is literally your oyster, and you've got to be a little bit bananas.
Yeah, go wild.
You've got to go wild.
Yeah, have no regrets. Like, I don't want to have any regrets and be like, oh, I wish I'd done that. I wish I asked them to come onto my podcast, or I'm not asking them because, like, I don't have a big following. Like, what am I talking about?
Exactly.
Ask. If you don't ask, you'll never know.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
and you'll grow.
Yeah.
You'll look back at this in a couple of years' time and be like, look at where I am now.
Yeah.
But you can only do that if you actually take action and make yourself uncomfortable. Go through a contest prep and do things that scare the life out of you.
Yeah.
Ask questions. How you grow. Yeah.
Ask questions. Also, look at the people around you that are 10 steps ahead of you. What have they done to get there, and what are you not doing? Okay, right, well, I know I wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, well, that's probably one of the reasons why. Yeah. You know, 1 out of a million. So it's like, I always look at people that are 10 steps ahead, and I'm like, wonder what they do on a regular. I'm going to YouTube them. I'm going to study them. I want to listen to their books. What am I not doing that they're doing? Okay, I'm going to implement that and see if that changes in my life. And it does all the time, you know? So I think that's a big thing. But I would love to know, like, obviously there's a lot of impacts negatively on your health with, like, obviously PEDs for a lot of people. I don't know much about it, and obviously I'm natural, and that's what I'm doing for first time, and I don't think that this will be something that will do long term. You never know. But from a female point of view, for anyone that doesn't understand it, like, they think it's nearly terrible to do that on your body. What's your opinion on that? Like, because obviously this is what you do, and you know, and you've studied it, and you're an expert in this area, but people are very judgmental towards, obviously, the elephant in the room, PEDs. You know, people don't want to talk, like, people won't talk about it, or they'll think if you're doing a bodybuilding competition, you're on steroids. Yeah. 100%. You know, people have asked me, I'm like, no.
Yeah, 100%. So there's two ways that we can kind of talk about this. Now, we can talk about this from your perspective. So you're someone that is competing for the first time. 100% do it. do it natural.
Yeah.
I did it natural for my first season as well. But after my first season, and when I seen the potential within myself, I realized that I could take this a lot further. And I am someone that competes and goes all in on everything that I do. Obviously in a very safe manner. I've never done anything that has like really compromised my health, because I know my boundaries and I know my limits, and that is something that really scares me within the female bodybuilding realm, is females with male coaches that will just do whatever that coach says without actually researching and educating themselves. And that's what the scary part actually is, because there is a lot of coaches out there prescribing females with crazy dosages, and that is actually going to extremely be detrimental to their health, but also their femininity.
Yes.
But then there's people like you. First competition, do it completely natural, because it's not going to be a detriment to you, because you're going to be able to recover from this first contest prep completely fine. Now, if you was to then be in a position where you was wanting to do it on a year basis, that's when you've got to think about your testosterone levels, because the more times you go through a diet, you are actually increasing the chances of you entering early menopause. And there is females that are natural that have reached early menopause due to the fact that they're putting their body through consistent preps and consistent dieting phases year after year, which is why you need to take long periods of time off stage, because your body is a natural athlete will take typically 6 to 8 months to actually recover from that one prep alone. But too many people are jumping right back into a contest prep. So you've got to take into consideration your thyroid, your ovulatory cycles as well. So your FSH, your LH, your T3, your T4, your testosterone, your estradiol, like all of these stuff have got to be taken into consideration. So when it comes to that, then that's when you've got to ask yourself, well, am I not at risk as much as someone that actually is utilizing PEDs? Like, am I actually being healthier here by not taking any PEDs? Because when PEDs are actually used safely and efficiently, they're actually protecting your health, because you're using thyroid support to make sure that your thyroid is staying in a normal range throughout your entire contest prep. Now, obviously, we're going to now talk about the performance enhancing drug side, so the androgens. So the females, there's no getting around it that in the fitness industry, I would say 90% of competitors take steroids. So they will take things like Anavar, Primo. Some take testosterone. I don't 100% agree with that unless they need it from a health perspective. But Primo and Anavar will be the main things that females will use. And it is going to obviously help increase muscle mass. Not to the extent that people think. Like, people think that if they take one steroid cycle that they'll suddenly... they'll suddenly turn around and turn into La Man. You would need to take a lot of steroids and a lot of androgens to be in that position. Like, that takes years. If you're looking at like female bodybuilders, for example, they've spent probably the last decade taking like androgenic steroids consistently to look like that. For bikini or figure girls, the amount that you take is obviously minimum, but it's about being aware and actually being educated in regards to the risk, because the bigger your goal is when it comes to bodybuilding, the higher your risk needs to be. Like, if you look at the bikini girls at the Olympia, they're all taking performance enhancing drugs. They're all taking compounds that are either going to help with fat loss so they can keep their food higher, such as clenbuterol. They're using thyroid support like T3 and T4 from a metabolism perspective, but they're also using things like Anavar or Primo to help with obviously preserving tissue at the back of a contest prep, because natural competitors are more likely to actually lose muscle because of how low food is and how high cardio is during that time.
Yeah.
So they're preserving their muscle there, but they're also helping with the aesthetics from the look side of things. So you'll notice the roundness of their delts. So you'll notice the roundness and bubbliness of their glutes. That's from performance enhancing drugs. But it's about knowing your boundaries, knowing the risks that's involved, and just staying with your gut as well, because it's not a quick fix. And from my perspective as well, I eventually want to have children. So my female health is extremely important, and I'm not willing to take the risks that some people are willing to go to achieve that goal. I would rather take it slowly and utilize very small doses of PEDs when needed. So for example, in my improvement season, I took a whole year off stage. I only had one 8-week little cycle during that time. You don't need to cycle it on and off every 8 weeks. It's about using it for very short periods of time when it's needed. So maybe once during an improvement season, and then once at the back end of a contest prep to help with preserving tissue. That's when females essentially need it the most. And if you are someone that is potentially wanting to utilize PEDs, adding it in at the back end of a contest prep is literally the most important time, because that's when your body needs it, and when you do want to make sure that you're preserving the muscle that you've got and not losing it.
Wow. I think that's so honest of you as well, to be so transparent about it, because obviously there is a lot of coaches that will hammer people to the ground to say, if you want to win, this is what you have to do. And it's like, it's not fair. And I think that's amazing as well. Like, you obviously, I think people from the outside obviously don't know that you're married. This is what I didn't know. I'm like, by the way, I hope you don't mind me saying that. I'm like, what? But keeping like your private life, like, you want to have kids. And I think people think if you're a bodybuilder, they don't want kids. They don't, like, you don't know what someone else is like, your personality, what life you want to live. And it's like, if someone is doing something safely, and like you said, if they're educated on what they know they're taking, like, that's so important. Don't just take something for the sake of what someone is recommending. Always do your research and be like, why? Ask why. I'm a why girl. Like, see my friends, they're like, Ciara, are you gonna ask us 10 questions on why? Here we go, now she's off. I'm like, yeah, but why? And they're like, oh my god, like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, but why? Like, would you say they're doing that? They're like, I need to know. I'm like, if there's no facts behind what I'm doing and a reason to why, I will not do it. I need to know. I need to be fully convinced. And I think let people do their own thing and let people make their own mistakes, but just for your own journey and for your own sake. Like, it's about what you do. Like, what's your real goal? Do you really want to do this long term? Is this just for a quick fix? Is this for a bit of attention, to build a bit of a social? It's never going to work. And I think the true bodybuilders and the real bodybuilders are honest about stuff like this, and they know what's healthy and what's pushing it to an extreme, and it's what way you want to go, what lane. And obviously you're taking a very, like, you know what you're talking about, you know what I mean, you're safe. And I think that's so important. And it's very interesting as well, because I think even from where I'm looking, I'm like, I wonder, like, is that like an all year thing, or what goes on? Like,
as a coach myself, if I've got a first timer, I won't even mention PEDs. I won't even bring up the conversation unless they approached me about it. I would only make that conversation and have that conversation if that person finished that contest prep, went into an improvement season, and then decided that they wanted to take it seriously, because their health is literally the most important thing to me. And as I say, doing natural seasons back to back is still extremely detrimental for your female health. But this is what I don't agree with in the industry, is coaches just prescribing their females with Anavar with Premier. The amount of consultations that I've had with females, and they've been like, yeah, my coach just gave me a pill and told me to take it. I didn't know what it was.
Oh my God.
And that's what is super scary within the fitness industry. It is definitely about education and asking why, 100%, because you've got one body, you've got one life. It's you at the end of the day that makes the decisions. Your coach is there to educate you, and they should be there to prioritize your health and look after especially your female health as well. Yes, not everybody wants to have children, and that is a decision that is obviously personal to you, but looking after your health is in having longevity within your life.
Yeah. Never mind.
It's extremely important. You don't want to look back when you're 45 years old and be like, I have ruined myself.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do.
That's like a big thing. Don't judge a book by its cover, and that just goes to show how passionate you are about overall health and females and getting on stage and having that pure purpose as to why. So I think that's amazing for people that are listening, because people do judge books by their cover, and they judge of like what they see, and they're like, that definitely goes on. You're like, do your research as well on your coach that you're going for, and know your background as well, because that's a big thing. But just to wrap up as well, after such an amazing podcast, I've definitely learned a lot as well, so thank you for that. I always finish out with a question, but if you could go back on, I've got two questions. So if you could go back on anything, would you change it, or would you ever not bodybuild? And number two is what's next for you?
Okay, so the first one, if I could go back and change anything, no, I wouldn't, because I think pressure is a privilege at the end of the day. And when you put pressure on yourself, I started bodybuilding when I was 19. So in my opinion, because other people was doing it before me, I felt like I was late. So I put pressure on myself to be the best that I possibly could. I definitely don't regret bodybuilding because it changed my life.
Yeah.
If I didn't do bodybuilding, I don't know where I would be. I don't think I would have the business. Well, I definitely wouldn't have the business that I have today, and I definitely wouldn't be the person that I am today, or have the mindset that I have. And I'm like putting up my nails and they look horrendous. I'm looking at yours.
No,
like,
mine are falling off. They need to be done ASAP.
I took them off. I was like, I need to go to the beauticians.
Mine needs to be done badly. I've got mine like this.
Sorry, guys. So yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything. I'm very appreciative of the mistakes and everything that I've made, because they are just lessons at the end of the day, and I love that. And then secondly, what is next?
Yeah.
So I am competing in September. I am keeping it quite hush hush. So you guys are really the
better be watching.
The only people that know. I'm keeping it hush hush just because I really just want to be in the moment.
Good.
And just enjoy the process of it all. I'm obviously still going to be documenting it.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to be putting
An announcement.
so much pressure on dates.
Yes.
So I'm not going to be like, I'm competing on this date. I'm just going to be like, I'm in prep, and I'm just enjoying every single moment of it. So yeah, that is me.
Unreal. That's very, very exciting. I can't wait to watch. And I think that's what I kept quiet as well, was the date, because I was like, I'm not doing this to prove it to anyone else. I'm not doing this to make sure everyone follows me for it. It's like, I'm here along the journey. I'm going to embrace every week, every day. And you don't need to let everyone know every move that you're making. Sometimes the silent moves are the most exciting ones, for sure. But thank you so much for coming on. I really hope that you guys have got a lot from that, and have definitely have a different perception on bodybuilding, a different perception on like women in business as well. This is like a big thing for me on this podcast. And if you've any questions at all, where can people find you? Even though they can pop them below, but whereabouts on Instagram can they find you?
So my Instagram handle is erinT.ifbbpro, and then I have also got my own podcast as well. If you do want to learn more about the female bodybuilding realm, it's Take Up Space podcast.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And guys, if you have any questions at all, please just pop them below and I will see you on the next one. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.